Okay, guys, here I am again. I'm going to try to give a lecture on emotions today, and so we'll see how this does. I have a new computer, and I'm going to try it out. Okay, I could talk a lot about EQ versus IQ. I mean, I have some IQ, but my EQ is relatively low. Even Father Andre agrees with me on this. But I want to talk about your emotional intelligence today, or your emotions. To do that, I usually start off with this thing from Dale Carnegie. He agrees with me. When you deal with people, you're not dealing with people that are logical. You're dealing with people that, are emotional. So I don't know if you're in English class, you study this thing, logos versus pathos. I'm just big on pathos. I think people are moved by emotions and not necessarily by their thoughts all the time or rational decisions. I have this quote right here from Vincent van Gogh, and he kind of agrees with this sentiment as well. When I talk about emotions, I usually break it into these three parts: cognition, which is the thought part; affect, which I'm going to spend most time on today, which is the energy part; and then behavior, which makes sense. For instance, if you were angry, which I just got really angry last week, I have negative thoughts and might act in a inappropriate way, behavior, but it's my energy that's off, and that's what leads to the negative thoughts and behavior, and that's what I want to go into in a lot more today. So this affective component, and a lot of times if you go to a psychiatrist, those medicines, they work on your affective, system, which that's my big problem with them, but I want to get into that today. But this physiological we've talked about before, it's our sympathetic nervous system. We have sympathetic, parasympathetic, yin and yang energy. And so I'm big on this energy system. You don't have to believe in chakras like that I do, but I think if you get your energy right, then your mind and your behavior will follow. Okay, this is the first theory of emotions from James-Lange. So it has this bear over here, let's say. And what happens is your body reacts, you get a lot of energy, and then you come up with the thought, which is fear. So he has this quote: "We don't laugh because we're happy, we're happy because we laugh." Now, the more I think about that quote, the more it doesn't make sense. I think it's backwards. But he says that we get the energy rush first, this affective component, then we come up with a label that we put on top of it. So Cannon-Bard is a second group of researchers. This would be the antithesis. And they said, no, the energy and the label come up at the same time. I kind of agree with this, that if I see the bear in the woods, I get this energy rush, and my mind's already throwing that label of fear onto it. And so this is what I want to go into in a little detail, is that how energy, I think I've shown you this model before, can be labeled in a negative or positive way. And so what researchers say that all that energy is just a label for, or all that an emotion is just a label for our energy. For instance, love, fear, happiness, sadness. These are just labels for the different kind of energy we're currently experiencing. Okay, so I have this little energy model right here. I hope that you can see it good, but I think we've shown this in class before. So for instance, if I can get my clicker to work, up here on the left-hand quadrant, up at the top is scared, like high energy, and it's negative. Over here, high energy that is positive would be like excited. Depressed would be low energy that's negative, and serene would be low energy that's positive. And so usually, well, I have this little thing. You can see there's a lot of different kinds of words. For instance, high energy that's unpleasant, afraid, angry, frustrated, annoyed, tense, alarmed. So there's all kinds of ways we can label this high energy in a negative kind of a way. Now, Schachter and Singer in 1962 did this famous study. It's a little complicated, but I want to try to do my best job to help you understand it. Basically, they give men energy because they give them a pill. They tell them it's a vitamin, but really it's epinephrine, which is a stimulant. So when they get the energy, affect, back to the CAB model, the affective component, they want to see how they label that. We've been talking about this whole time, labeling energy. So one of the things they do is give them information about the pill. Some men are told that the pill, nothing about the pill. That's the control group. Just take this pill, go do the study. Other men are told a little bit of the truth. They said this pill, this vitamin, sometimes it might make your breathing increase, might make your heart rate go up, which this is the truth because it's a stimulant. Okay, and the third group is told a lie about the pill. And so they're told that it would make their heart rate go down and make them a little sluggish, and those were side effects. Now, that's the opposite of what's really going to happen. So they want to see if this information affects how they label the energy. Affect, energy, cognition, label. So when they take the pill, they go into a room and there's a guy already in there. Well, this guy's an actor or an accomplice, but they don't know that. They just assume he's eating the pill too. So sometimes the actor acts in an angry way, and on other days he'll act in a real silly or happy way. Now they want to see if the behavior of the actor affects how they label their energy as well. This might seem complicated, but they have these 6 different conditions. For instance, I might be given the pill, told nothing, uninformed up here in the left-hand corner, and then put with an angry guy. Now they want to see, how do I label my energy? Now after the study is all over, they ask the pill eaters, how do you feel? Label your energy. And so these 4 guys tend to label their energy like the person they're in the room with. They kind of mislabel their energy in a way and say, oh, I'm getting angry because of that guy. But the reason that they're feeling weird is the pill. And that's why the guys in the middle say, I feel weird because of the pill, but I don't feel happy or angry. The guys in the other condition, since they didn't get correct information about the pill, start to think it's the other guy making them mad or other guy making them happy, and it really is the pill making them feel weird, but they tend to label it based on other factors. Now, if you have any questions about this, please email me. But basically what it's showing is that when we have energy and we're not sure where the energy is coming from, pill, then we'll start to use things from our environment, information, or other people to help us label that energy. Okay, so to recap the study, let's say I gave you the pill and I told you the correct information and I asked you how you felt at the end of the study. You'd say it's because of the pill. But if you don't know and you're put with one of these guys, he starts to rub off on you. Now, I could have done the study in another way where he gave you a Valium or Ativan and got you real low in energy and put you with someone that's real sad or real serene, if you can see that down there. And then you would might rub off, they would rub off on you in this fashion. This is the slide I thought I was going to show a few slides ago. I really love this slide. I call it the Tao of Pooh because some people are high energy. Let's see if I can get it to come up in low energy in a real negative way, like Eeyore. They're always in a bad mood. I tend to be Eeyore-ish because I'm depressed a lot of times, and so I don't want to be Eeyore. That's why sometimes I isolate. Now, other people that I really love, like my friend Dan or even my brother Matt, they're like really high energy, you know what I mean, in a positive way most of the time. So I love being around people like that. But their energy is so high, sometimes they don't calm down. They're manic. Now, I tend to be kind of like Piglet, where I'm high energy, but kind of in a negative way, like neurotic. Is everything going to be okay? And I'm always like worried about things. But then there's Poe down here, which kind of has that good stoner energy. He's just like, everything's going to be okay. Just eat some honey. Just everything's going to be okay. 2 is more fun than 1, right? And that's why he calms Piglet's neuroses down because he's the calmest, most healthiest one, it seems like, in that respect. Okay, so our 6 basic emotions according to researchers. David Ekman, I think his name is, and a lot of other researchers have traveled the world and come up with these 6 basic ones. I have inside out here, but there's only 5 guys over there. So I made this little thing, FASSHD, so you can remember it for the test, FASSHD. So fear, anger, sadness, surprise, happiness, and disgust. Sometimes in class I get into this big thing, is surprise or disgust really an emotion or a reaction? But they all have an energy component to them. So look over at these 6. Now, I tried to put them back into our little energy model here. And so I put surprise and happiness here because they're high energy in a good way. And I put fear, anger, and disgust here and sadness down here, but really I think happiness could be low energy, like poo. And also surprise could be over here, like, surprise your car got, hit. And so in class, I would go into a lot more detail about this. Okay, other emotions, I just listed these because they are very interesting, like agonized or concerned or fascinated is my favorite one because you're tripping out on something. Now, emotional expressions. This is one area that people are big on because we non-verbally express our emotions and we also read these emotions in other people. I call this our first language. Babies can't talk. Dogs and animals can't talk. And so we have to pick up on their expression and then vice versa, broadcast our expression. So from an evolutionary perspective, which I'm big on evolution, emotions help us in two ways. We need to be able to read, like I said, also broadcast. And one of the things this does for us is it preserves our individual fitness. What is individual fitness? Looking out for my own health. So if I can read that you're in an angry mood, or I can read that you're in a good mood, I can approach a void. Now, another thing it does is help us preserve, this got cut off down here, inclusive fitness. Now, inclusive fitness is looking out for our genetic relatives. Like if you're a mother or brother or one of your relatives gets in trouble, you may need to like read that they're in trouble and also broadcast things to them so that you can help your family out. So help me out, number one, or help my family out, number two. If you take my social class or one of my other classes, it's going to go off on inclusive fitness because I'll show a few things and it'll make sense here in just a second. So for individual fitness, should I approach or avoid you? Well, look at this. Can I pet your dog? If you don't know to avoid that dog, you're not going to last long on the planet from an evolutionary perspective. Now, I tend to be an empath, and people is like, "Oh my God, you're too sensitive." And I don't know, I put this on the lecture because of me. But if you're very sensitive like me, there's a reason for it. You can read very good, and that reading sometimes is bad. And I think about the Green Mile, but here's this quote I have. The sad thing that many of us empaths don't realize is that often our desire to heal others is a disguised cry for help for our own healing because many of us weren't taught how to value or nurture ourselves at a young age. We tend to unconsciously seek out our own healing and the healing of others. That's like me. I'm always fixing other people instead of fixing myself, but we'll save this. Okay, inclusive fitness, looking out for the group. I'm big on bees and beehives. The beehive project is one of the things I do in my social class. And so bees, when they sting, I was just in the desert yesterday filming a beehive. When they sting you, they disembowel themselves, so they kill themselves. Individual fitness for the inclusive fitness for the tribe. This is why I love the military. It's like it's not about you, it's about your brothers. And so band of brothers, it's like you would give yourself for the tribe. 63 soldiers jumped on hand grenades in the Vietnam War to save their buddies, and they took it like the bee did in this case to preserve individual fitness. Okay, inclusive fitness also helps with mothering because, like, if you need to detect, read, different things within your baby, but also broadcast out to your baby, that you're doing okay. The reason I think I'm an empath is because I grew up, in a certain environment was very crucial that I read the behavior of other people so that, I knew maybe I should go to the woods right now and go play because dad is in a bad mood itself. Okay, so Paul Ekman, I mentioned him. He would show these faces to people all over the world, and they would agree, happy, sad, angry, just. So I like talking about CG emotions because then you can start to see how we read emotions in video games. Like this guy right here, happy versus sad. I just change a few things. And if I change a few things about his eyes and these things on his mouth and how his mouth opens, his eyebrows, then all of a sudden he becomes angry. All I have to do is change a few features. They say eyebrows, eyes, parentheses or furrows in your mouth. Now he's excited. And now he's fascinated. So I can change these different things about him to make you read and detect different kinds of emotions in a two-dimensional character. Think about what we do with people all day long. Dang, I wish I was in class right now because I usually ask the class, who's the best at reading emotions? And so we go through different professions, like cops have to be good at it, therapists have to be good at it. But one of the creatures I talk about that are good at it are dogs, animals. They're really good at reading emotions. And vice versa, you probably have to broadcast your emotions back to your pet. But I think the animals that are the most I don't know if you wouldn't say gifted at reading emotions or like horses. And I know some of you, work with horses because we have equine science at Scottsdale Community College. And if you can't read or broadcast your emotions around horses, you don't belong around a horse. Because I grew up around horses, my grandpa, and it's like, don't come back here with fear. He would tell me, fear will get you killed. And so they can detect all kinds of things very easily. I also talk about how men and women differ in this because I teach psychology of gender differences and I think women are better, but that's just me. Or I should say maybe empaths are better, but we could go into that on another class. Okay, expressing emotions. Who's the best at expressing? This is where I definitely talk about kids or women because they have more a bigger leash. Men tend to be, taught like, hold it all in, and this is why I kind of don't do well as a man. But I talk about emotional constipation because, like a lot of men, this is Tommy Lee Jones, I think it showed Clint Eastwood. They hold it all in. I have Clint Eastwood because one of my favorite movies is Gran Torino, and the whole thing is about emotional constipation. What is in that box? And this relates to the military because you need to talk about what's in the box down there in the basement. What did you do over there during the war? And he doesn't want to talk about it with the priest, doesn't want to talk about it with the little boy, anybody else, because he just wants to bottle it all up. But then when you bottle it all up, think about how many soldiers, 22 a day. And that's because they're doing the same thing. They're not expressing their emotions, which seems gay-ish, but I'm gay-ish. And this is a healthy thing to do. And instead, they bottle it all up and bad things happen. Okay, so some people are good at being deceptive with their emotions. We have to do this at our job every day. I'm bad at it because if I'm in a bad mood, I'll just show it to people. Y'all know how I am. But anyway, I had to try to mask my emotions. Some people are gifted at masking their emotions. I see people at church all the time. They'll go through cancer and you're going, how come you're smiling all the time? It's like, dang, they're really good at masking it. Okay, so this is where I can't really be interactive. What kinds of people are good at doing this? I think my least favorite question is this, how are you doing today? Because when people ask me, I just tell them the truth. People just want to hear just fine. They don't want to hear that you're doing bad. And so, I don't know, I'm on this, but I love Joker. Put on a happy face. That's his whole thing. Put on a happy face, even if you're going through a bad time. It's like what he talks about. I just don't want to feel bad anymore to his therapist. Or do you have anything, there's all these different scenes from there. It's like put on a happy face, just act happy. And this is the thing I love the most. This quote, and this is what I'll end today's lecture with. The worst part about having a mental illness is people expect you to behave as if you don't. And that's the worst part of having depression and anxiety. I'm struggling with it all the time, but I got to put on a happy face. And if I talk about it, everybody goes, oh my God, you need to go see somebody. It's like, I already see somebody. I'm on a billion different medicines. I got a PhD in psychology. It's like, I'm struggling. And I know a lot of people in the world are struggling. Otherwise, 5,000 people a month wouldn't be offing themselves on Oxycontin and other kinds of things. And so I want to be real honest about the emotions I'm going through because I don't want to pull a Gran Torino where I just stuff them inside and maybe that's unhealthy the way I do it. But this is just the way that I'm created versus the way that Clint Eastwood is created. I hope you enjoyed the lecture today. I'm going to start working on the next set of lectures and I'll see you next time.